All right, so today we are going to take a look at your Algebra 1 PSA. So you're going to look over everything that we've learned in the first 9 weeks of school. So first on this paper, you went through and you circled which questions you got correct versus which questions you got incorrect. So what you are going to do with these now is that if you had circled no for any of these boxes, you're going to complete this very last box on the right by showing your work for the correct answer. So in number 1, if you got number 1 wrong, what we have is the word rate of change. So rate of change is another word for slope. The slope formula is my change in y, that's y2 minus y1, over my change in x, which is x2 minus x1. So I want to see how much this graph is rising, changing the y's, over running, which means changing the x's. So the first thing that we need is 2 points to be able to figure out the change in y over the change in x. So when you look at your graph, you have a perfect point right here. The x value right there is right between 0 and 40, which is 20, where the y value is right between a 0 and a 20, which is the number 10. So my first ordered pair, which we'll put to the side, is that when x is 20, the y value is positive 10. So now we do the same thing. I need the next ordered pair, which is right here. So in this ordered pair, when my x is 60, my y is right between 20 and 40, which is 30. So this ordered pair is 60, 30. So now we're going to label, this is x, this is y, this is x, this is y. These come first, these come second. So now to write the equation, like we said, it's y2, which is 30, minus y1, which is 10, over x2, which is 60, minus x1, which is 20. So if you got number 1 incorrect, make sure you write this down. So 30 minus 10 is 20, over 60 minus 20 is 40. 20 over 40 reduces to a positive 1 over 2. So the correct answer for number 1 would have been 1 over 2. Number 2, very easy question. It says on this graph, where is the x-intercept? So what I know about an x-intercept is it's where the black line crosses the x-axis. So in this one here, my x-intercept crosses the x-axis at the number positive 4. So the correct answer you'll put is that the x-intercept is 4. And then to make sure you understand it, let's sketch. Here's your line. It crossed the x at the number positive 4. So that's the correct answer for number 2, x-intercept. Number 3 is a little bit more exciting. So in number 3, we are solving the equation 0.5 c minus 3 equals 2 times c minus 12. So what we have to do for this one is we're going to solve it by hand first to see that you know how to solve by hand. So the first step we have is we need to distribute to get rid of parentheses. 2 times c is 2c. 2 times 12 is minus 24. Then on the left side, I just bring down the left. So the next step is I have to take my letter and I'm going to move it to the left. Minus 2c minus 2c. Its like term is that c, so 0.5c minus 2c. If you don't know what that is, you can go to Desmos, 0.5 minus 2, and it says that the number is negative 1.5. So that gives me negative 1.5c minus 3 is negative 24. So the next step to get c by itself is to move the 3 plus 3 and plus 3. That gives me negative 1.5c is negative 21. Then last step, I'm going to divide by the number in the front and divide by the number in the front. Negative 21 divided by negative 1.5. Negative 21 divided by negative 1.5 is the number 14. So the correct answer for number 3 is C, equals 14. The other way that some teachers might have shown you is you could go to Desmos, type in the left equation, then type in the right equation, then you're checking the solution to see where the left side crosses the right side, and that x value is your answer. That's the other way that you could have solved number 3. All right, number 4, domain and range. This is a tricky question. So domain is my x value. So domain is x. The x goes from left to right. My range is my y. My y's go from the bottom to the top. So what this question is asking is which graph has an x value that's to the right of 6. So when x is 6, it wants it to go to the right of 6. But then it wants for all of my y's to be under the number negative 4. So here's 6, negative 4, and it would be under negative 4. Okay, so this arrow is going to the right of positive 6, but it's going under the y value of negative 4. So the correct answer for number 4 is C. C went to the right of 6, but it went under negative 4. So correct answer for number 4 is C. All right, number 5, I need another rate of change. There are 1,000 ways to answer this question. We'll do it the same as number 1, just so we're consistent. So number 5, rate of change is another word for slope. To get this slope, I need y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the slope of this line, I need 2 ordered pairs. Here's one, 4 goes with 17. Here's the other, 6 goes with 24. So now to use the slope formula, I have x1, y1, x2, y2. So now the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And if you simplify 24 minus 17, you can use Desmos if you need it. 24 minus 17 is 7 over 6 minus 4 is 2. That does not reduce, so the final answer is 7 over 2. You could have also noticed that the change in y increased 7, while the change in x increased 2. The slope is the y over the x. So the correct answer is 7 over 2. Okay, number 6 is pretty easy. So number 6 says, what does the x-intercept represent? Well, the x-intercept is where your line touches the x-axis. So that's talking about 6. It's the ordered pair, 6, comma, 0. So the x's are talking about presentations, and the y's are talking about, the number of cookies that we have left. So what this is saying is that after 6 presentations, we have 0 cookies left. So it's the number of presentations, the maximum number of presentations before we run out of cookies. So the correct answer is D. So in your work, you can say that the x-intercept is 6, 0. So after 6 presentations, we have 0 cookies left. 6, comma, 0. All right, number 7, this was a very highly missed question. It's not that difficult. So what I know about range is that range is the y values, and we smush it between the bottom in the top. We'll put this off to the side. So my range is where my y's live. The bottom y value goes first. The top y value goes second. So the correct answer that you should have had is range is y. The bottom or the lowest y value is right here. That cuts through the y-axis at 1. The top y value is right here. That cuts through the y-axis at 7. The bottom is a closed circle, so I close the symbol. The top is a closed circle, so I close that symbol as well. Okay, so number 7, correct answer, bottom to top. All right, number 8 is just like the one we did earlier. It's just solving a regular old equation. So it says -3 times 2x plus 1 is -6x plus 5 plus 2x. So to solve by hand, you can follow along with me. Hopefully by now you're a little bit more comfortable with solving equations. So the first step is I have to get rid of parentheses by distributing. -3 times 2 is -6 with an x. -3 times 1 is -3. Then on the right side, I have what's called like terms. -6x's and 2x's makes -4x's. -6 plus 2 is -4. And then I just bring down the plus 5. Next step, I need to take this letter and move it to the left. So plus 4x plus 4x. -6 plus 4 is -2x. Bring down the -3. Bring down the +5. Next, to get x by itself, I need to get rid of a -3 by doing +3. That leaves you with -2x equals +8. To get x by itself, I divide everything by the number from the front. 8 divided by -2 is -4. So the correct answer for this one is x equals -4. Just like before, your other option is to type in the left side and the right side into Desmos. You could have typed in the left equation. Below it, you type in the right equation, and then you check to see where the two lines cross. Okay, so that's the other way that you could have been able to check to see what that solution is if your teacher has taught you the way to check it. All right, the next question is weird. So this next one says f of x equals 60. Well, if you went to the calculator and you typed in f of x equals 60, f of x is the same as y equals, and then 60 is this number right here. So y equals 60 is a line that cuts through 60 in the y-axis, and it's horizontal, it cuts straight across. So the domain of this is that the left x value is an arrow, so it'll go forever to the right. The right x value is an arrow, so it goes forever to the right. So we call that all real numbers. Then the range is my y values. The only y value on this graph is right here. It's just 60. So the correct answer for number 9 is that the domain is all real numbers, but the range is positive 60. Okay, a couple more. Number 10. So number 10, again, we have rate of change, just like the other two. Rate of change is slope. I'll start with slope formula. You would always get this on a formula chart. The slope of a line, I need to pull off the first, it doesn't matter which points you choose, I'll pick the first one. So when x is 0.5, the y is 60. When the x value is 1.5, the y is 180. So this is x, y, x, y. Pulled 2 points off of my table. So now the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 180 minus 60 is 120. 1.5 minus 0.5 is just 1. 120 divided by 1 is just 120. So the rate of change, or the slope, you also could have just done the change in y. It increases 120 over the change in x. It increases 1. So it's the y over the x. Correct answer for 10 is 120. All right, 11 is the easiest question on this whole test. Hopefully you all got this one correct. An x-intercept is where your line crosses the x-axis. So this x-intercept is 3. The y-intercept is where your line crosses the y-axis. So this y-axis is y-intercept is the number positive 6. So number 12, super easy. X equals 3. X-intercept is 3. Y-intercept is 6. All right, next, another solving, very simple. We're going to write it so we can solve it. 3y minus 4 is 5 times 7 minus 2y. 3y minus 4. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 2 is 10y. Now I need to take my letter. I'm going to draw my border. So step 1, we had to distribute to get rid of parentheses. 5 times 7 was 35. 5 times 2 is minus 10y. So now I find my letter, and I'm going to move it to the left. Plus 10y, plus 10y. 3 plus 10 is 13y. Bring down everything else. To get y by itself, you move the number to the other side. So 13y is 39. Then get y by itself by dividing 13. So my final answer, 39 divided by 13, is the answer, positive 3. Just like we said before, you could also check it in Desmos. Plug in the left, but use the letter x. Plug in the right, but use the letter x. And figure out where those two lines would cross. Okay, that's the other method that you could have used to solve 12. All right, last one's 13. 13 seems really tough. Once you do it, though, it's really not that bad. So what it says is that we have some quarters. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to draw it as a table. So what I have is we have some quarters, which is M, and then we have some nickels. So what it says is I need more than 3, but less than 10. So the first number more than 3 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I cannot use 10 because it's less than 10. So here's my numbers that are more than 3, but they're less than 10. So now it says, here's this equation, 5 times my number. So M is the same as saying 5 times X. So my Y values, I take 5 and I multiply it times all of those X's that they gave me. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30, 35, 40, 45. So this is the table that represents the situation. The question is, what is the range? Well, we know range is y, so my range are all of my y values. Okay, so that's the correct answer for 13. All right, 14, we have another rate of change. Once again, there's so many of these. What is rate of change? Well, rate of change is slope. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I need 2 ordered pairs. There's one at the origin, that's 0, 0. And then there's one perfect point sitting up here. When x is 40, the y value is 320. So the equation is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 320 minus 0 is 320. 40 minus 0 is 40. If you did 320 divided by 40, you'd get the answer positive 8. So again, slope, I need 2 perfect points, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Not too bad. All right, last but not least, number 15. Here we go. You could have just typed this one into Desmos as well to see the line. So it says, here's this equation of a line. I want to know what the graph looks like. Well, 0.5 is the same as 1/2. So what you know about a line is that the m is the number with the x, and the b is the number by itself in the back. So to graph this line, b stands for begin, so we begin at the number positive 2. M stands for move, so we're going to rise up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. And then we connect our dots. So they gave us an equation, and it's asking which graph matches. Well, it's not A, because that doesn't start at 2. It's not C, because that doesn't start on the y-axis at 2. So now I need to check to see which one goes up 1 and over 2. The correct answer is D. This one's a little too steep. That slope is not correct for letter B. Okay, so those are your corrections for all 15. So make sure every question you got incorrect, you put all of the work to show the correct answer. Make sure your math teacher's name is at the top and the correct period that you have Algebra 1. Your teacher will collect these worksheets, and then you are good to go for your data reflection for Algebra 1.